everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I do want to talk about the Delphi case because there has been this new leak, shall we say, about a search warrant, and I want to point out the important issues about that. Because I see a whole lot of stuff going on in the internet, and it's like everybody's going crazy, kind of like they did with the one on Tony Klein. Remember, just recently, the Murder Sheet podcast somehow, supposedly, mistakenly, put that up, and everybody was very excited because, oh my God, we're finding out the truth. Finally, Klein, they're going to go get Klein. Well, below I have the link to the video I did on that. But the Klein interview was done in 2020, and he was actually already on their radar in 2017 when the girls went missing, and Abby and Libby went missing. So here's the thing: it's now 2022. So they knew about him in 2017. They did an interview in 2020 with him, and still 5 years later, from the time the girls were killed, they have not made an arrest of Klein. So what I told people is stop getting so excited. First of all, when the police do an interview, they're fishing for stuff. They might say things that aren't exactly true to trap him into something. He might say something that's not exactly true for whatever reasons he's got. Is he a creepy dude? Absolutely. Is his daddy a creepy dude? Absolutely. Have they proven he has any connection to the actual murder of these two girls? And the answer to that is no. All right, so now we have something new coming out. Let me just read it for you. All right, so new details have been released in the case of two young girls found murdered in Indiana 5 years ago. Abby Williams, 13, and Libby, German, 14, had gone for a hike on February 13th, 2017 on the popular Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Indiana, where they went missing. Their bodies were found the next day, and an arrest in the case has yet to be made. All right, though. However, according to a search warrant obtained by the Murder Sheet podcast and provided to Fox 59 in Indianapolis, the FBI wrote this in March 2017. They had probable cause to search the home of Ron Logan, the man who owned the property where the two girls were found murdered. It was 1,400 feet from his home. Okay. So the Murder Sheet podcast has done it again. I will give them credit for being able to find stuff and leak it when probably they shouldn't. That's personally my opinion. I'm not fond of the podcast. I'm not fond of information being leaked that the police are not supportive of, because I do not think it serves a purpose. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, it's helping more tips. No, it isn't. It's helping a whole lot of conspiracy theories and pointing fingers at different people, and people jumping into their armchair detective roles and thinking that they are solving this crime. It's not what's happening. Good tips are useful. So if the police want good tips, I believe they should put out better information so that people can call in better tips. But I do not think necessarily that the stuff that's being leaked out and then being discussed everywhere is proving anything. So let me clear up what I think is the big problem with this new search warrant. Oh my God, it's going to be Ron Logan. I mean, it's oh my God, they did a search warrant. Okay, first of all, why did they do a search warrant on Ron Logan? Let me think. Because they were on his property? I mean, they're not stupid. I mean, you've got to do your due diligence. So Logan was, what can we say? Not exactly the most law-abiding dude in the world. He had issues. You know, he was known to law enforcement. They had done search warrants in his house before. So he had issues. Now, these girls were left on his property. Let's start with that for the most right away. Let's start with that. Okay, if you were Ron Logan and you had your eye out for maybe some young girls, think about this. Would you follow them on a path near your home where people might see you, and then tell them to go down that hill, then do whatever you did to them and kill them, and leave them on your property? Now, this guy was already paranoid about the police, checking up on him and them knowing like he was sneaking out and driving around when he wasn't supposed to drive around. Killing girls and leaving them on your property is not exactly what you do if you don't want the police to show up at your door. I can understand you might want to maybe bury them in shallow graves someplace, put them in your vehicle and drive them away from your property. But do you really want them just to be laying on your property? Probably not. And I'm sure the police said the same things to themselves. They're probably like, I don't think this guy could have done it or would have done it because really, really, would you want the girls found on your property and not move them? Okay. But they are on his property and the dude is kind of has a criminal nature and he's got some issues. Okay, we're going to have to check him out because we'd be stupid not to check him out. So back in 2017, they did a thing called getting a search warrant. Okay, now there's a lot made about what's in this search warrant. Oh my God, it's like proving you did it. No, it's not. First of all, when you go for a search warrant, you will drum up literally anything you can to get the search warrant. You will, if somebody said, I don't like that guy, you go, let's tell the judge. Somebody didn't like that guy. Anything you can come up with. Oh, his phone. I saw this one on in the search warrant about the phone pinging on his property near the girls. It's his property. And the cell phone tower is not going to triangulate so well that it's going to prove that he was standing on top of the girls. I mean, it's his property. He's wandering, he's in the house, he's going out to the outbuildings, whatever he's doing, he's on his property. That isn't, but if you're going to do a search warrant, you're going to put that crap in there because it might get you the search warrant. So you will say whatever you can say to get that. So the search warrant pointed out, first of all, the girls are on his property. And secondly, that he had a little criminal nature. Third, that his phone pinged on his property or whatever. And let's see, what else did they come up with? Oh, the alibi thing. So this is a big one for people. So supposedly, when the girls went missing, he asked some cousin to give him an alibi for about 3 p.m. in the afternoon because he had driven his vehicle out someplace, which was documented. But apparently he wanted his cousin to say, hey, I drove him someplace. He didn't drive himself. Now, the claim is he must have this must be some guilty proof, that he wanted to make sure he had an alibi at the time the girls were killed. So if your cousin takes you away from the crime scene, well, then it couldn't be you, right? Okay. Interesting enough, why did he pick 3 o'clock and not when the girls went missing? I mean, because you might as well go earlier. Might as well say 2. But he didn't. He said 3. Okay. So, all right. So he's asking for an alibi. Why? Now, it's very possible that he knew the girls had gone missing. He heard all this stuff. He was running around with his vehicle. So he says to his cousin, Jesus, I don't want them to think I was involved in something. So just say you pick me up. Besides, I wasn't supposed to be driving. So just say you pick me up. Can you do that for me? Hey, criminal sorts will ask people to do lots of other sort of criminal things. It's not that unusual. So the next question would come down to, which I would ask in my own way of thinking, he was actually in the vehicle around 5 something. There was actually a receipt from the place he went to. I think it's pretty strange that you would at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon commit this horrifically violent crime on your property, which they said was quite bloody, which is why they wanted to look in his house for blood. A very bloody, horrible crime. And then you go off to some like aquarium store a couple hours later. I mean, it's a little weird. You probably would think you'd be busy doing something else. So I find that kind of strange. So anyway, based on the fact that he asked for this alibi, they blew it up. Of course they're going to blow it up. They got to blow it up to get the search warrant. So they said what all the things they wanted. They want to look for clothing. They said there was a piece of clothing missing. They're looking for all kinds of anything that could link him to this crime. And they have a list that's a mile long. Okay, if you're going to go into somebody's house with a search warrant, you literally want to come up with every single thing you can possibly come up with, because you don't want to not have the right to pick up that piece of evidence. So yeah, you go for electronics, you go for clothing, we want to search every building, we want to find every weapon. Yeah, okay. And one of the other things they used was a couple women who had hooked up with him prior said He was kind of a mean, abusive guy. One woman said he punched her, or she was drunk off her butt at the time, and he, apparently she didn't show up at the hospital, so I don't know how bad he punched her. One other woman claimed that he said, "Oh, I could kill you and they never find you." Who knows? Maybe he said that. Maybe she made it up. I don't know. But they're going to use it in the search warrant. You betcha. So anyway, they got the search warrant in 2017. They went to his house and came up with zero. Zero. That's why it's 2022. So stop going crazy. The police have to do their due diligence. They're going to get search warrants for anybody they can think of. They got to, they want to check out Klein. They want to check out this guy. They're going to check out everybody they can check out who might be connected to these two girls. Anybody who could have been in the area. They're going to check it out. They have to do that. That doesn't mean the person is guilty. There's a lot more creepy people in an area than anybody really realizes. So yeah, you can get somebody who looks super creepy. Doesn't mean they committed the crime. Should you investigate them? Heck yes. You should investigate everybody you think might be involved. That's what you do as an investigator. Okay, so all of that, to me, they came up with nothing. So in 2022, they haven't got any DNA to link to Klein, haven't got any DNA to link to Logan. They haven't got anything in Klein's house or Logan's house that is evidence from the crime scene. They just don't. So, they don't. So stop going crazy about stuff they don't have. Now, one of the things I'm going to pick out is they pointed out a few more things on the Murder Sheet show. And I'm going to tell you again, I'm not fond of the show. I will not recommend it because I've seen them. First of all, I don't like leaked information. Secondly, I don't like the fact they bring on people to tell stories about other people without knowing that they're true or not. That bothers me tremendously because that's just, you can have a whole lot of falsehoods, shall we say. And when a person goes to the police and they have an interview, at least the police are there paying attention to what they're saying. But when you bring them onto your show and just have them talk a bunch of crap about somebody, I don't think that's right. And it inspires everybody in the old, YouTube world and Twitter world and Facebook world to go berserk on people and start pointing fingers. And they don't even understand truly what it means. It's just they're going with a bunch of gossip. But let me look at a couple points here that they did also say, which I just want to correct. One of the things they said was, one of the hosts of the show said, it's not uncommon for serial killers to take souvenirs or photos, because that was one thing they were looking at Logan's residence. They were looking for souvenirs or photos. Let me tell you, it is not common. It isn't. Sorry. They said it was common. The host said it was common for them to do this, to take souvenirs and photos. No, it is not common. That's an old myth. Most serial killers just knock you over the head, they rape you, they strangle you, and they're gone. They don't take anything. They don't take photos, they don't take clothing, they don't. The ones that do are the unusual ones. So it is not common, but they said it was common. So, if you're going to do a show and you're not a profiler or a detective who knows what you're talking about, please don't say these things. That's just not true. Then they said that the bodies were moved and staged. Okay, so now you're putting this out to the public that it was moved and staged. You actually don't know much about that. They could have been moved. Moved means, I don't know, they were killed and then the bodies were pulled someplace else. What does staged mean? According to them, staged means they're trying to fake the police out, have the police think it's something that it's not. But two girls who are brutally murdered and left there in the woods, I'm going to say it's a serial killer. You can't stage your way out of that crap. I don't know what the supposed fake staging thing is. Or is it just that that's what they're calling it? They're also saying the bodies were posed. What does that mean? I mean, when you kill people and you leave them in unpleasing circumstances, like possibly naked, or maybe their legs are in a weird position, sometimes they just fall that way. Sometimes they do play with them. We don't know if they were actually, posed or not. But again, this is going out to the public. So now we're going to have a huge discussion about how they were posed. And we do not know. I haven't seen the crime scene photos. I don't know what they're talking about. Posed If somebody was then put into a tree, I would say that might be posed. You know, if the person was put into such a strange position, like that they couldn't have gotten into naturally, and maybe, like leaves were put into their eardrums or something, I would say that's a pose, but we don't know. So don't talk about it. Don't make a big deal of it when we have no idea if it's even true or what it even means. Let's see. One of the women said, by the way, that Logan carried a gun in his like this little fanny pack thing. Always carried a gun. Okay, so some woman said that. That again gets you a search warrant. Let's see. Oh, they did point out this. I did think that one thing they did point out in on the murder sheet, which I was okay with. There was a call made from his property at 2:09 p.m. And they were saying that the claim was that it was near to the area where the bodies were found. And they did point out, and I'll give them credit for this, but proximity and likely in the area. What does that actually mean? It means proximity. How? What's a proximity? Is it like 3 feet, or are we talking about 3,000 feet? In other words, back at the house. Likely means we don't really know. But here's my point. At 2:09 p.m., a call was made from his property. If he was busy, like, abducting girls on the trail, why is he making phone calls? Really? Is that what you're doing while you're abducting somebody? So I have a problem with that right there. They also pointed out that Logan, the authorities in the search warrant, that he could get up and down the hill. He's 77 at the time. Apparently, I'm okay with older people being strong. I'm 66. I just played a wild game of pickleball today. An hour straight. It was crazy. It was fantastic. So I'm going to say I can get up and down a hill at 66. If I play people on the court who are 80 who can play a great game of pickleball. So yeah, could he be at 77? Could he be a guy who can get up and down the hill and actually move girls around? Possibly, that's true. However, personally, I've seen him. I've looked at that bridge guy, and he does not look like a 77-year-old to me walking along. He does not. He looks like he's in his 40s. I could be wrong, but he doesn't look 77. Okay, he just doesn't. But the possibility that the guy could be functional, yes. Usually you don't have serial killers being serial killers at the age of 77. That would be something pretty unique and probably, I don't know, that would be a pretty old serial killer. And I'm going to say the guy who killed these people were serial killers. All right. Now, let's see. What's a couple more things I just want to say? There were about 15 people who called in tips that said they thought Logan was guilty. I don't care. The girls are found on his property. If it's only 15 people called in to say he was guilty, I'm going to say he got lucky, because you're going to assume, oh, look at him, check the guy out who owns the property, and he wasn't. He had some issues, you know what I mean? He wasn't exactly the most law-abiding citizen. Had some violence problems. Just, wasn't the calmest guy around, shall we say. So any woman who's been with him who thought he was a little bit on the rough side, oh yeah, he did it. Yeah, I believe he killed the girls. Probably some of them are really ticked off at him. So let's just be realistic, So I just want to say, stop all the nonsense on this. It was 5 years ago. They got a search warrant that came up with 0. Okay? Clear, if they had anything worthwhile enough, they would have arrested him. Same thing with Klein. They would have arrested him. Now, is it possible that he really did commit the crime, Logan, or Klein did commit the crime? Possibly, and they have not enough evidence to go forth into a prosecution? Maybe. They could believe the person did it, but they just cleaned up so well and they got rid of everything, just did a great job of it. It's possible. But let the police do their job, okay? I'm a profiler, and I may say this is what my channel is about, helping people understand profiling and understand crime scene analysis. My job as a profiler outside the police department is not to solve the crime. I try to explain things, but I'm not here to solve the crime. Let the police solve the crime. Now, do I think everything has been done maybe the best it could be? I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes. I wasn't too fond of their press conferences. I thought those were badly handled, okay? They were. I thought they were badly handled, and I made a point in my previous videos about that. But behind the scenes, as far as their investigation goes, I don't know that they're doing anything wrong. Serial homicides are extremely difficult to solve. If it's not Logan, because they just happened to be found on his property, oh, that was easy. Or, it's, not Klein, who happens to be communicating with him and is a sleazebag, no, creepy sex predator. Okay, but fat as heck and probably can't get out of his chair. Okay, if you got to check those guys out, but if it's not those two guys that are so easy to pick out, is it just some other guy? Which I think came from parked in the cemetery, came there, found the girls, killed them, and went back out in his car and left. Now you're screwed, because the guy's probably gone a long time to some other location. Even if he lives nearby, like 10 miles away, he's gotten rid of everything that related to the scene. There's nothing left. And if he didn't leave his DNA at the scene, you're not going to link it to him. So many serial crimes, serial homicides, and serial rapes go unsolved for decades because it's so hard to catch serial killers. So I don't fault the police if they can't catch this guy, and if it happens to be Logan, eventually they could find some actual evidence, but apparently they haven't, or Klein, but apparently they haven't. So stop getting overexcited, everybody. Let the police do their job and stop armchair profiling the heck out of this crime. I mean, just learn to be a little bit more rational about it. And Murder Sheet, personally, stop leaking information, because I know it's good for your show, but I don't think it's good for the case. That's just my personal opinion. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. If you've never been here before, please do like the video, join the channel, subscribe, and you can check out all my other videos on the playlist. I talk about lots of crimes. It's not about armchair profiling here. It's about understanding profiling, crime scene analysis, and how investigations work. It's just an understanding channel. It's an educational channel. So do that, and also hit the bell so you can get some notifications. And maybe one day I'll talk about this case again if there's something to talk about. Bye.